the expected losses on the Iran attack back at us, listen, between 80 and 100,000 Israelis dead.
God doesn't only love us, he's letting us know how much he loves us. Welcome back, everybody. Yossi Lolian here with another video. Let's get right into it. So it seems there's been this video that's been kind of breaking the Jewish internet for a little bit. I would say for at least a week, it seems. And some people shortened it and took it down from like 40 minutes to about 15. I saw it 13 minutes. But the point is, I've been away from social media, a lot more away from it than I've kind of like stepped away from it a little bit. So it looks like I saw it later than most people have. However, I just wanted to say some of my thoughts on the video and what this means for the Jewish people. And it's incredible. There's this incredible man, Uri Pilichowski. His Instagram handle is Rational Settler. And in this video, he is speaking for a crowd and he's telling them the amazing miracles, open miracles. You have to know the context. You have to understand just how incredible. You have to understand how war works and how many of these things work and all the behind the scenes to see how open these miracles are. But once once you're privy to that information, there's no other way to view this other than 100% godly intervention. And biblical levels. I mean, what this guy Uri continues to over and over again reiterate is that this is biblical level miracles because there are zero casualties on the side of Israel and devastation on the other side. Absolute victory to Israel with zero casualties. Biblical stuff. And the reason I want to talk about this is I want to play the video, which probably, because this is still, let's just say it's a growing channel, okay? Probably many people have already seen it. But I think that in between the lines of all these things, there are layers, there are things to unpack. At least that's how I feel. And I'd like to share that with you guys and see what you guys think. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
I do hours upon hours of research of everything that I'm going to say to make sure that it's as true as I can make it. And I speak to people in the White House, I speak to people in the Senate, the Congress, I speak to people in the intelligence services of both us and the United States, I speak to members of the Knesset, I speak to members of the State Department. And this information I'm going to tell you, you might say, I don't know, maybe he's a rabbi, as you know this stuff. I'm telling you stuff is true. In the middle of September 2024, we watched the greatest intelligence operation unfold. And a 27-year-old analyst, she sat behind a desk, and she's going through the data from the war after the war, and she's seeing the pictures of the bodies of the Hezbollah fighters that are coming in, and she notices that each of them, on their chest, above their hearts, wears a walkie-talkie. She goes to her boss at the time, who was the division head, and she says to Yossi, says, how great would it be if we could put a bomb inside each of those walkie-talkies? Thousands of Hezbollah fighters.
I want to stop it here for a second because there's going to be, I believe, a repeating theme, which might not be obvious to everybody, which is that every single step of the way, there's either open and divine intervention or divine inspiration. You know, people talk about how Israel, you know, all the amazing victories of Israel, and they are amazing. And what bothers me is that God is not mentioned by the people who are in the positions to make these things happen. People who are at the leadership, who see these things occurring and understand how miraculous they are, or at least should understand how miraculous they are. And God's name is not mentioned enough. and it hurts because we are the Jewish nation. We're supposed to be the ones who proclaim openly and give credit to God for all the things that we have in our life. And so throughout this video, I'm gonna be doing this. And it's one of the first things that came to mind when I already decided I want to do this video was like, Bibi, and whatever you think about Bibi, I'm not going to get into that. I think there's a lot of pros there. Okay. Countless times I've seen him talk, and he's such a great speaker, and he gives over so much confidence, but he doesn't mention God nearly enough. And I like, this is not like, people may take this as like a criticism of like a Jewish people. No, it's a criticism of why we aren't acting, or why some of us aren't acting the way Jewish people are supposed to act, which is always have the name of God on your lips. Acknowledge the miracle that is the Jewish people today. Anyways, let's get on with it.
Push a button and they all have an explosive charge go over their hearts and kill them. Just drop dead right there. Most of our lives, when we suggest ideas to our bosses or to our teachers or to our administrators, and they're out of whack and they're not possible to be done, we're told that's not possible. And Mossad's ethos are different. It's a challenge. Okay, figure out how you're going to do it.
So let's give credit to it. This is, I think, one of the things which doesn't actually, I don't think it exists anywhere else. And I heard I heard someone told me that in West Point they don't even bother teaching. Like they don't bother trying to learn from the victories of Israel because it only works with Israel. So like, there's definitely, Israelis just work differently. Okay. But I'm trying to talk about what happens. Like, why is that? What's behind that? What gives us like, how have we made the impossible the standard? Okay, and that's what I want to really emphasize here.
So she created a shell company in Germany, which worked with a small company in Taiwan, which provided communications equipment to companies all over the world. They had a great online business, dinky little store in Taiwan, but great online business. And the next time Hezbollah came around ordering walkie-talkies, this partnership, this shell company in Germany interrupted the supply chain and injected a little C4 into every single one of those walkie-talkies with a remote detonating device. Thousands of Hezbollah fighters wore them for 10 years. It's a little bomb on their chest that they were unaware of. Nasrallah Mashimo, the head of Hezbollah, at a certain point after 10 years, got paranoid about Israel eavesdropping on him and figured they were doing so through the walkie-talkies. And he ordered that Israel, being a high-tech country, Hezbollah would have to go low-tech to make sure that Israel could not interfere with their communications. So the most low-tech thing he could think of was a pager. No one had seen a pager for 15 years. You cannot go online and buy 20 pagers. You can't find them on eBay. Nobody has 20 pagers, let alone 5,000. Eavesdropping on this conversation, the Mossad agent, now 15 years later, tells her shell companies, we got to restock pagers, which is the equivalent today of saying we should restock rotary phones. You're like, that's crazy. Who in the world's going to buy this? But we got to have thousands available. 3 days later, the bet paid off. A request comes in for 5,000 pagers. We're all too happy to supply those pagers with a little C4 and a detonating device inside of them.
I just want to give my 2 cents here. For what it's worth, I don't like, me even saying this is laughable. Like, I don't know anything about anything when it comes to war, when it comes to intelligence, when it comes to espionage, nothing, right? But I'm just saying, like, the fact that, like, them being so paranoid didn't think it was weird that there was just some shell company that had pagers all of a sudden available. Again, I don't know how they presented this, but I'm just saying, like, there's miracle after miracle happening here. The fact that they just were, they were led directly to the Mossad to buy these pagers. Okay, but it's not. I mean, just listen, because this is just the beginning.
Hezbollah fighters are walking around on their waist with these pagers. After October 7th, Nasrallah sees what Yahya Sinwar Yamashimo was doing with his communications, And he has switched to no digital communications to make sure that Israel could not eavesdrop and was passing messages through the tunnels. And Nasrallah says that's what we have to do. We have to do that. Nasrallah orders in 3 days' time for everybody to take their pagers, put them up in the closet next to the walkie-talkies, and they're going to go through handheld communications. Israel hears this and comes to Prime Minister Netanyahu and says, listen, you don't have to blow them all up, but if you don't do it now, it's never going to happen. They're never going to have these pagers. This is our only opportunity to use it or lose the time. Prime Minister Netanyahu orders on a Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. One page goes out to all the members of Hezbollah that have these pagers. It's over 5,000 people. Hold the pager up against like as close as possible to your eyes. Push 2 buttons simultaneously, and the classified message will appear. The reason Israel was doing that was to get it as close as possible to their brains. Not everybody, if you remember the famous video of the bomb that went off in the grocery store, not everybody answered the page. Israel blew up all the pagers. Only 42 people were killed by them, but over 3,000 fighters were taken off the battlefield that day, injured beyond the ability to fight ever again. How many Israeli soldiers were in operation on that battle? 0. The next day, you got to imagine that night, as one intelligence officer told me, he said.
So again, and you're gonna hear this again and again. How many soldiers were even involved? Right. Later on, it's going to be how many soldiers were killed. Right. But how many soldiers even involved in that battle? 0. Later, he's going to say something outstanding. How it's actually unprecedented. Just watch.
It's not that nobody else has ever done something like that before. It's that it's beyond the imagination of any intelligence service to even put something like that into play. They come back the next day to the Mossad headquarters. When they turn on the live stream from their drones and of the Lebanese news and see at the funerals that Nasrallah has ordered the remaining fighters to put the walkie-talkies on so that he could communicate with them, you got to imagine that was the Hava Nagila moment where they all start dancing and looking for the old detonator. And they blew it up. And 25 more fighters died on the spot. I was watching the funerals and saw the bombs going off and wondering to myself, who in the world is blowing up Hezbollah funerals? It was us. Tuesday afternoon, the first wave goes. Wednesday afternoon, the second wave goes. Thursday was the greatest of the days because Thursday, Nasrallah ordered that the 20 remaining commanders, high-ranking people within the Hezbollah organization, do not use any form of technology, but rather get together in person in a certain apartment. 3 F-15s took off from Ramat David Air Force Base and planted 3 missiles straight through a window into their meeting and took out the 20 commanders. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Hezbollah is no longer a threat to the state of Israel, to the Jewish people. How many soldiers did we lose? Out of the pages of Tanakh, 0. Now that Hezbollah is gone, attention focuses on Syria. Syria's been going through a civil war for the last 10 years. Assad, who was the head of Syria, Assad was protected by Hezbollah and by the Syrian army. Hezbollah is no longer protecting him. And a true Russia, a man named al-Sha'ara, who is now the president of Syria with a $10 million bounty on his head from the United States, realizes this is his chance and orders his troops in. The hardest Israel ever fought was December 8th and 9th of last year, and most Israelis, most people in Israel, have no idea it happened. On December 8th and December 9th, as al-Sha'ara's forces came into Syria, everybody in the Kiryat, our Pentagon in Tel Aviv, realized, take out all the Syrian files. Every attack plan. It's absolute chaos there. Put them all into play right now. 350 planes go off on 350 missions. That, over the course of 48 hours, we bombed every single Syrian Air Force jet. None remained. We bombed every single Syrian Navy boat. None remained. We killed every single general and assassinated them. None remained. We killed every single nuclear scientist working on their nuclear weapons program. None remained. We killed every single chemical scientist working on Syria's chemical weapons, which they had and don't remain anymore, and they don't remain anymore. We killed everybody, took southern Syria for ourselves as a buffer zone. And how many soldiers fell in those battles as we raced across Syria, bombing them and assassinating their people? 0. Out of the pages of Tanakh, we did not lose 1 soldier in Syria.
Now, we remember when this didn't happen too long ago. We're old enough to remember, right? So most people didn't understand the proportion of the miracle. Like, we knew, Israel's taking them out. Like, Israel, took the opportunity. The scale at which Israel did it, the precision and the speed. We can sit from today till tomorrow and talk about how, yeah, Israel has the greatest, smartest and the strong. This is miraculous. Let's watch some more.
With Hezbollah and Syria out of the picture, Iran is left vulnerable. An F-35 fighter jet costs $235 million each. And for every hour that it's in the air, it requires 8 hours of maintenance. The United States Air Force, at any given time, its planes are in 51% readiness. That means they need double the amount of planes to fight a war, because 50% of the planes are always under maintenance. That's acceptable numbers for mechanical engineering for airplanes. That's how it works. When Prime Minister Netanyahu plans the attack on Iran, he's going to fly two.
So how many of us know that, right? How many of us know that, yeah, there was a successful, they went, they bombed, they came back. We all knew that about the U.S., Israel, and going against Iran. Did we understand the background of how complicated these military planes are and what it takes for them to be in the air and what it takes to maintain them?
When Prime Minister Netanyahu plans the attack on Iran, he's going to fly 200 planes, 4 hours, 2,000 kilometers to Iran, and then 2,000 back, another 4 hours. An hour over the air avoiding anti-aircraft fire. The stress on the airplane is tremendous. Stress on the pilot is tremendous. And the acceptable losses are 8 planes on every round of fighting. 8 planes will suffer mechanical failures. Just imagine how many times you've been on a passenger jet, which is a lot less complicated of an airplane, and the pilot announces, I'm sorry, we have like a 20, 30-minute delay. Something on the plane broke. You need to bring a mechanic out to fix it. For an F-35, 8 drop out of the plane on every round. Since we lose 8 pilots. 192 planes come back, 100 require more maintenance. Only 90 go back. Of the 90, another 8 drop. Over the course of 10 days, we're looking at 60 dead pilots, 60 lost planes, and about half the planes at any given time back on the runway for maintenance, some of them not being able to take off ever again.
And this would be acceptable for a war. This is just taken for granted. Okay? What did he say? We suffered how many casualties or how many losses?
We suffered no losses. We didn't even have a plane that required significant maintenance. The way a mechanical engineer explained this to me is that it's impossible, except that it happened. The American ambassador told me they still can't file reports. They don't know how to explain this. It's impossible for this to have happened. Impossible. We're not talking about it's unlikely. We're not talking about the odds are against it. We're talking about the manufacturer would tell you it's impossible. Today, the United States Air Force is rethinking its entire approach to how to fight wars and how to get 90% of its planes in the air every single time, just as we had.
So this thing is like, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to replicate this. Again, this is not normal. This is supernatural. We'll see. Who knows?
While we're doing this over Iran, we have 2 more operations going on. Operation Narnia and Operation Red Wedding, which kills all the scientists and all the generals in Iran. Nobody even knows this happened. We had soldiers everywhere. We had a base in Iran for years producing drones. In Iran, we had soldiers. It's amazing to think about how we did this. How many soldiers did we lose in the attacks on Iran? 0. The news put out a story, the Israeli news, because it's censored, that most of the missiles that came in from Iran were blown up by Iron Dome, by David Sling, or by Arrow. It's not true. They landed. And they landed hard. Our office, Nefesh B'Nefesh, we had a missile land across the street from us in Tel Aviv. Our office was out of commission for 2 months. It needed 2 months.
Now this, I'm sorry I'm interrupting so much. I just, this is, I think, where the greatest miracles out of all of them, and as miraculous as everything has been until now. What he's saying right now is that Iran, Israel failed to stop Iran's missiles. And you're going to see just what was expected, what normally should have happened if nature had taken its course because of the Iran attack. It's insane.
2 months. It needed 2 months worth of renovations. That's how hard these missiles hit. A missile hit a 30-story building in Tel Aviv, where American military personnel stay. Half the building came down. Not one person went to the hospital. American engineers from the State Department went out the next day to look at it and said it's impossible. Soroka Hospital. The director of Soroka Hospital looked at one of its 8 buildings and saw it and said, if the missile hits this building, I don't know why he wasn't concerned about all the others, this will be bad. Empty the building. The next day it took a direct hit. Nobody was hurt. Not killed. Nobody was hurt because nobody was in the building. In Yerushalayim, this is going to scare some people. We have a funeral home called Shamgar. Shamgar also stores dead bodies. Shamgar was ordered by the Israeli government on Friday morning after the Thursday night attacks to order extra freezers for tens of thousands of bodies from Jerusalem. The American government told me the expected losses on the Iran attack back at us, listen, between 80 and 100,000 Israelis dead.
Remember that number. Okay? All right, again, we know what happened. I'm just saying, like 80,000 to 100,000 dead. That's what was expected. That's what people were preparing for. That's what intelligence concluded would probably be necessary to prepare for all of the dead bodies, God forbid.
80 to 100,000. That's a lot of us. The Iran war, on the attack back against us, we lost less than 40 people. Can't explain that. February 20th, 2025. Everybody knows what happened that day? That day, we should be saying Hallel, probably not based on the English date, but on the Hebrew date. So at 9 o'clock that night, when 3 buses blew up in a parking lot in Bat Yam, and a woman found a bomb under her seat in another bus, and all the buses in Israel were told to pull over, and one more bomb was found. When you build a bomb, you got to be really careful, because you make a mistake, and that's the end of you. The plan, 5 buses would blow up in downtown Tel Aviv, and they would kill 1,000 Jews, injure thousands more. Can you imagine another October 7th? But they made a mistake, an inexplainable mistake. Make it once, I can understand, but they made it 5 times in a row. And they set the bombs for instead of 9 a.m. for 9 p.m. So when they blew up, nobody was injured. Inexplainable. The last story I'm going to share with you is that they found Sinwar's plans. Yahya Sinwar was the head of Hamas, and they found his plans. And the plans were for the October 7th attack not to be on October 7th, but to be a coordinated attack. And listen very carefully to this. The coordinated attack was supposed to be Hamas doing what it did, Hezbollah firing 50 to 100,000 rockets at northern Israel, coming across the border, and Iran firing its ballistic missiles at us. Palestinians in Yehuda v'Shomron would have rebelled, would have gone town to town murdering. We would have had, at best, millions of dead Jews, and still had our country. That's best case scenario. Expected scenario from that plan is there's no state of Israel, there's millions of dead Jews, and millions of Jews being held hostage. What happens after that? Our nightmares can't fathom. For reasons we'll never know, Sinwar jumped the gun and went early without telling Hezbollah and Iran. And what should have been the end of us turned out to be an amazing Yeshua, an amazing salvation. Every single thing that we've had, every salvation, whether it's Hanukkah, Jews in Mitzrayim, Jews were killed, and we lost people. In modern times, the Yom Kippur War victory, 6-Day War, 1948, we lost 1% of the Jewish people in Israel. There's always loss, but there's also tremendous Yeshua. What we've experienced the last 2 years, can't fathom it because we're in it. It's hard for us to see it. But we've experienced the greatest miracles that we've seen in centuries. Ask yourself of the stories that I've told you tonight. If the Chashmonaim would come back in time and they would hear this talk tonight, would they not say, we're jealous of you? We took out 1 army. You took out 7. We had losses. You had very few to none in many of your wars. We can't see it. We're in it, but it's there, right in front of our face. Bisman hazeh are the tremendous miracles and nisim of Hashgacha that we've had over the last 2 years. If it wasn't us, we should be saying Hallel every single day. We should wake up and say, I'm zochet to live at this time. Our grandchildren will look back at this time and they will ask us, how amazing was it to live at this time? And we're going to have to answer, you had to be there to see it.
Now, the way he ends, I think it actually gives the most room for thought. Because we're so prone to seeing the losses. And of course we are, because we're used to life going in a certain way. where we see life. We're not used to seeing death, and something like this happens to us, which is a tragedy. No matter how much bigger the tragedy could have been, and therefore it's a miracle that all these things were thwarted. Having thousands of our family die, and with the death toll of the soldiers as well. May Hashem avenge all of their blood. The hostages, the soldiers, the casualties, everybody. Casualties, the murders, what am I saying? All that is in the thousands. That is a tragedy. So it's obvious why we're not just, jumping out of our seats. But we owe an incredible debt of gratitude to Hashem. And we also need to feel incredibly lucky that once we are privy to this information, we can never look at anything that happened the same way. And by the way, all these things have been spoken about before. And also this is a shorter video. It's cut down. So I haven't even watched the full 40-minute video. I don't know how much more information is actually in the 40-minute video. Maybe there's even more, which makes the miracle even greater. As great as it is just knowing this knowledge, as great as we understand that it is just with this knowledge. But knowing this, knowing all of this, God doesn't only love us, he's letting us know how much he loves us. He's telling us that, and we have some work to do. And I'm going to talk to myself. Like, I can do better every single day to be a better Jew, to be better to my fellow man, to serve God better, to be a better person, just to do the right thing, to finally end all the suffering in the world and to have Mashiach and to have, what we know is supposed to be the world in its perfect state. And yet, this is like a sign that God loves us unconditionally, that he's going to protect us no matter what. And yes, there were casualties, and yes, it's painful. And yes, we want to know why, right? We don't have, there's so many questions we don't have answers to, but we definitely do know that despite all these questions, he loves us, and he's taking care of us. And like he said, we can't see it because we're going through this pain, but we're so loved. And listen, I don't think we're meant to like overlook. I don't think we're meant to overlook all the tragedy. I don't think that would be the right thing to do, but definitely we have to be happy in order to remember those who are lost. And in light of the fact that we have this open message from God that he's still with us no matter what, we need to wake up in the morning and just, when we say Moda'ani, and for those who don't yet, if you don't wake up in the morning and the first thing you say isn't Moda'ani, thank you God for giving me my soul, maybe think about it. Like, with all of the difficulty and with all the questions and all the garbage and the baggage everybody has in their life, and I'm just talking about it because like it's so easy to just point at someone else and say, why aren't you happy? So like, just to acknowledge, like, yeah, like, no, life isn't easy, but at least give as much attention to the positive and the beauty that there is, at least as much as give as much attention to that as you do the negative in your life, because we're wired to like that the negative stands out to us, and this requires work. yeah, and I'm just gonna finish off by saying, that you see this like these amazing things that happen. You see that Israel's winning again and again and again and again with zero casualties. This is unprecedented. You don't see it anywhere else. Let's not kid ourselves, okay? I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't know who's seeing this video. Like, it's possible that everyone I'm talking to here, I'm preaching to the choir. But I just feel like sometimes, and maybe this is because my own lack of faith and my own lack of trust, and I have to build that. And that's why I'm maybe overly critical. Maybe everybody else sees it, plain to see. But so I'll talk to myself. Like, I need to be aware of God's constant oversight of my life, of God's constant miracles. We say it in prayer every single day. If you don't pray yet, go and pray. If you're not going to open this sitter, whatever, just say a few words of thanks to God, or ask God to show you answers. Just talk to God. I don't know who's going to see this video, and this is like again, I'm going to phrase it in a positive way. It's a growing channel, okay? But just do something in your day to acknowledge God's kindness to us. Notwithstanding all the difficulty, okay? And there's something that the Lubavitch Rebbe says, which is that the Jewish people and God were like a mirror, kamayim apanim al panim, and when we show him a panim shechakais, the word to say this is like a joyful countenance. I don't know if I'm translating it exactly properly, but when we show him that we're happy and we look positively at our mission and in our place in this world, that has the power and definitely will trigger a response in the same way. That God will respond in the same way with open joyfulness and show us a positive disposition, which that translates to us having the most, a good life in the most revealed way in all ways. So these are my thoughts. When we say we're proud Jews, let's remember what that means. We're proud that we have the privilege that God shows us how much he loves us. And he showed us how much he loves us thousands of years ago by giving us the most treasured thing that exists, which is the Torah. And we should celebrate that. Yeah. It's just my thoughts, and I hope you found some value there. If you did, please like, subscribe, put a comment below. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel. Yeah, I love having conversations. Actually, I get like all these. Most of my comments are Jew haters, and me trying to shut them up. Most of the time, I'm successful, and thank God. Thank God. He sends me the right words to say where they actually have no response. But I don't want to deal with anti-Semites. I don't want to deal with Jew haters. So, guys people who I want this video to get to, comment. I want to interact with you guys. And yeah, until the next one, I'll see you. Love you guys. You grow stronger.
So promise me that you will do it, tell me.
Yeah.
That you'll be strong when it comes to it, tell me.
Yeah.